Hey guys, welcome back to Boosted Gaming. So today we have a brand new video for you. This one's actually going to be on the Division 2. This is part 2 of the PTS. They've gone through, they've changed some things, they've nerfed some things, they've buffed some things. We're going to take a quick look at them. These are the exotic weapons as well as the named weapons that are going to be coming out for Title Update 12. And we're just going to take a quick look, see what's changed. All right, guys, so deep diving in here, this is called the Capacitor. This is an exotic assault rifle. This is one of the brand new ones that's coming out for Title Update 12. This is actually a pretty solid one. So you figure here, the Capacitor has a cool talent. It's very similar to another talent, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But capacitance. Shooting enemies build stacks to a cap of 40. Each stack grants 1.5% skill damage. After 5 seconds, the stacks decay 1 per second, and for each skill tier you gain 7.5% weapon damage. So the capacitance really hasn't changed, but the part with the weapon damage has changed. They've gone from 5% weapon damage to 7.5%, so they've kind of given it a slight buff, which is nice to see. And then obviously you're going to keep all that damage right there until it starts to decay. So after 5 seconds it starts decaying 1 stack per second, which isn't overly bad. It's actually pretty good. And we're going to get into that here in a second. So in the first go around, we were kind of comparing the test subject here to the capacitor, right? Because the test subject is another assault rifle based off the same platform, same style weapon. But this talent on this one is perfectly in sync. Now, in sync on its own was always a go-to talent for most skill builders, because it would bring 15% skill damage and 15% weapon damage, and then those would double if they were both active, giving you a total of 30%. But test subject brings you with it perfectly in sync. So now you're getting 20% skill damage for 5 seconds and 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. And that same thing is applying where if they're both active, it doubles. Now, perfectly in sync and capacitance, very similar talents, but they each have their strong suits and they each kind of have their downsides. So perfectly in sync is nice because as soon as you start shooting, as soon as you start doing damage to an enemy, you're going to have that 20% or 20%. And if you're doing both at the same time, you're going to have 40% right off the bat, right? And as long as you keep shooting and you got somebody to shoot, you're going to keep having that damage available. You're going to have 40% the whole entire fight. As long as you're shooting and hitting, landing at least 1 shot from your gun and 1 shot from a skill. So like a drone and your gun going off, just hitting enemies, you're gonna have 40% skill damage, 40% weapon damage, the whole fight. But the capacitor kind of changes all that. If we take a look at the capacitor, remember we said shooting enemies builds a stack to a cap of 40, and each stack grants 1.5 skill damage. And after 5 seconds, it starts to decay, right? So if we do the math real quick, 1.5% skill damage, 40 stacks, you're going to have 60% skill damage. So 20% more than perfectly in sync. And then after 5 seconds, it starts to decay. So we'll get to that in a second, which is nice too. Plus, you're also going to have 7.5% weapon damage. And that 7.5% weapon damage, and if your skill tier 6, is going to bring with it 45%, 45% weapon damage. So 60% damage just for having, max stacks. So you're going to have that skill damage of 60% and then 45%. So you're going to have more weapon damage and more skill damage when you're max stacked. So the cool part is capacitance will allow you to carry some of that damage going straight into the next fight, because obviously after 5 seconds it starts to decay, right? Which is cool. Here's the caveat, is if you swap weapons though, you lose all your stacks. Doesn't matter what it is, you lose all your stacks, which is kind of a downside. With perfectly in sync, you can proc that damage right back up to 40% and be good to go, With a capacitor, though, you have to then build it back up. Like I said, each has its positive, each has its negative, but that's something to take into consideration when you're looking at skill builds. And these two weapons are going to be fantastic based off your build style and how well you can manipulate their talents. So just something to take a look at, guys. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this page with your friends. We've hit over 300 subs, so I'm super stoked. We do have the giveaway that's going to be going on for Cyberpunk2077, so make sure you comment on the video, make sure you're a sub on the channel, so that way you guys get entered in for that. And yeah, guys, till the next video, I'm out. Y'all have a good day. Peace.